Hi everyone, I'm Scott, and this is just a quick clip to talk about the kinds of environments that produce the best readings. What I do is a little bit different than what you may have seen before. There are times when I show up and I really knock it out of the park, and I found over the years there's other times I show up, set my best intentions, and it's just like I'm caught in the static and I'm in my own subconscious mind, and it just doesn't feel right to me. So when the environment is right, there's a certain presence that enters the reading that allows me to know that I'm not just stuck in my head, that there's something coming from another place. I can feel it. I just step aside and it just comes through me. It's more like channeling than it is clairvoyance. You know, I don't even really like the term psychic for that reason. It kind of makes it sound like I'm like a mind reader or fortune teller. And there are some things that come through readings about like future events, certainly things going on in your life that can happen. And it seems kind of like a clairvoyant reading. But really what I'm doing is more like channeling energy. And to do that, it needs kind of a conduit between me, you, and those in spirit. And once all this energy is flowing together, I really light up. And that's when some of the best work that I'm capable of comes through. I try to be as honest as I can. I'm not the best, medium in all situations, but when things line up really well, I can deliver a really profound experience. And I just want to be honest about that. There's, a certain degree of skepticism that everybody has, and I understand that. And I'm not asking everybody to be the most firm believer in what I do, but certain hostile skeptics, people that sit with me with their arms folded and, would say, hey, you don't tell him anything. Believe it or not, there's people that do this to me. Even if there's people like that somewhere else in the house, like the old disapproving husband gag, I come through that one a bunch. The guy's upstairs and he's like, when are they getting out of my house? I can't believe my wife's being duped like this. He's not sitting right next to me, but I can feel that. And it's like, I'm going to ask to move to another house, I'll be like, can we get your husband to leave? Because he's like messing with me. It's happened, So keep that in mind when inviting people. You just want people who are open to the experience, The other thing is the house that we're sitting in. I always tell people it's got to be like a primary residence, like a year-round residence that you live in. The older the home, the better, Does it have to be a 100-year-old home? No, but if it's 10 years or less, it's almost like it hasn't had enough time to absorb this presence, this lived-in energy. If you think about, like, the ideal would be like grandmom's house, where you show up and she's got the beef stew on the stove and there's all the little knickknacks and tchotchkes all over the wall, and it's just got years of experience and wisdom in it. And you walk into a place like that, and I just feel like, oh, I'm going to do a great reading here. Does it have to be that? No, but, the more lived in it is, the better. So, the older the home, the better. Also, the room that we sit in, the smaller and closed-off room, the better. So, ideally, think about it like a bedroom with no bed, like a home office, baby's room, toy room. You close the door, you bring in seats. It's just the energy just swirls and builds, and it's a fantastic experience. Do I need that? No. Small living room, den, family room, maybe even a basement. Rooms that don't work so well would be like sunrooms, patios, things that feel outside, large open spaces that flow together, where we're only going to be sitting over here and the whole room's this big room. I feel like those rooms are so big, it's hard to contain and trap in my little white light box and my energy. I'm going to ask to close the windows. That kind of creates that locked-in space that I need. Keep that in mind. If it's the summer months, it could get really hot in there, and I can't have ceiling fans on. Any blowing air seems to mess it up. So central air, not a problem. Air conditioning, okay. But if it's really loud and it's creating all this movement in the air, I'm going to ask to turn it off. So keep that in mind if it's really warm outside. When selecting the proper home for me to come out and do the reading, it doesn't have to be a space that you yourself have this really personal affiliation with. It only has to be this cozy lived-in space, even if it's your friend's home that you don't really go to that often, or that your people in spirit didn't even know that friend. It doesn't really matter, I'm going to be able to connect to you as long as you're sitting there and deliver a good experience. Also, I'm very affected by the presence of intoxication. So not only do I not drink alcohol before the reading, I don't want anybody there drinking alcohol before or during the reading. There's times when people try and sneak it in on me, and my guides that I work with in spirit will say, don't go near that person. I don't know why all the time. They'll just say, don't read that person or anyone around them. I do need everybody to be present before I begin, so we can't like get started and wait for someone else to come in. Actually, once we're going, no one else can come into the reading, because that, I get weird. I'm very quirky, you know, but I know what works. So just to give you an idea of what I do, when I show up, I'm going to ask to see what rooms we have available. Just kind of stand in them for a second, feel out the vibe. I might close my eyes. I probably look like an idiot, but I'm just kind of putting my antenna out and feeling how the room holds energy. And then I'll just pick the best room based on that. Sometimes I have to move furniture around, kind of like pull the couch in and the chairs in, so we have this little circle we're sitting in, and I'll like move the table out of the way. That's why I don't like sitting in dining rooms, because the table's in the way. And that's kind of how I do what I do. Once we're all sitting there, I'm going to take my shoes off and my socks off, because I'm weird and it just lets me relax, you know. I came into this when I fell asleep at night when I was young, and they'd all come at me, you know. I don't walk around in public hearing things. I gotta relax and choose to go into that state. So I like unbutton my shirt, I kind of like get really relaxed. People might think that's kind of funny, but that's what I do. And then I meditate for 10 to 15 minutes. And while I'm doing that, I'm just clearing my head. You know, I'm relaxing my neck and shoulders, and then I'm saying this prayer to bring in white light around us. I actually, in my mind's eye, imagine a box of white light surrounding us and the whole group. And if I can't get that white light box going, it means that there's an energy problem, that somebody is being very negative or apprehensive, and it just creates this static. I'll ask to move houses. I'll say, can we go to another house, because I can't do it here, you know? It's not like paranormal and new agey. A lot of times, because, you know, people hear what I do, I show up and they think, you know, oh, we're going to pray to the four corners and put a salt pentagram on the floor, and I just feel like, what's going on? You're freaking me out. Like, I'm just a regular dude, you know? You don't need to do all the new agey stuff. Just listen to the conditions I'm saying. When I show up, I'm going to do what I do, and we'll be off and running, you know? It's good to participate in the reading. By participate, I mean you don't have to feed me clues. I get that a lot of people that sit with me for the first time just want to kind of check me out and see what I'm all about. I get it, so you don't have to tell me everything. But when I say participate in it, if I'm onto something and I'm saying, okay, I think I'm done with this message, I'm going to go to something else, and you say, why didn't Grandmom talk longer? Well, you're welcome to say, hey man, keep going with that. You're onto something. I'd like to hear more of that. Is that feeding me clues? Not really, but you're participating. I want to walk away when I'm done the reading feeling like, I did good there. These people, I think I really helped. That gives me a great joy when I do this work. When I show up and, you know, people are very hostile towards me, I think, oh boy, it's going to be hard to deliver that experience to those people. So keep that in mind when you're inviting people. Who's really open to this, you know? So you can kind of arrange and address whatever these conditions are the best you can. They don't all have to be exact for me to do a great reading, but the more of these things that you can line up, the better the chances are that I'm going to knock it out of the park for you. And that's what I want to do. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to meeting with you. Thanks a lot.